What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update, guys. This was coming from Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba. She's just now weighed in on, the corrupt state of New York, exposing the truth about these trials. And these charade cases have been brought about against Donald Trump. DA Alvin Bragg's case in specific is the one that she, hit on and said why it should be dismissed, and we should be looking for a dismissal in the very near future. I'm excited to get in this update and see exactly what she is, privy to, what kind of information she knows that, may get this case dismissed. So we're gonna get straight into the clip, and I'll get my thoughts on the back end of the video, guys. So definitely stick around to the end so you guys get my thoughts on the back end. And also, YouTube, push this video out. Definitely stick around until the end, you guys. But let's get straight into the clip. Before we do that, though, make sure you guys hit that like button for me and also hit that subscribe button as we're on the road to the truth. Hop aboard for the journey. Let's get into it, y'all.
We've covered the big picture stuff on the Alvin Bragg / Juan Merchan corrupt trial with Trump and Stormy Daniels. But now we have backfill to do with lots of Trump-friendly lawyers coming out in his defense and offering new details that I haven't presented to you yet. So welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. I try and make news every day, a little bit of entertainment, and a little bit of getting you caught up on the bigger ideas and the bigger reasons why Trump is going to have to defeat New York, not in court, but at the ballot box. Let's watch.
Would you go from felonies to misdemeanors, and what would that mean for Trump?
Yeah, you can always ask for a lesser included charge, but Harris, speaking of misdemeanors, this case really started out as a minor bookkeeping misdemeanor that the statute of limitations should have run on years ago.
And this trial should sound familiar to the E. Jean Carroll trial, where the statute of limitations was magically removed. They said, oh, because of COVID, we couldn't address this, so we had to put it off in this case. And then Alvin Bragg digs it up, raises it from the dead illegally, specifically to go after Trump. And then those are normal charges that would be a misdemeanor, and he raised them up to felony charges. Even as he has criminals in New York who go from felony charges, he reduces them down to misdemeanors all the time. By the way, this is one of our favorites, Phil Holloway. He's here on YouTube that we love quoting.
But it's Alvin Bragg who is the one that, in my opinion, is being dishonest, because he's taking this misdemeanor and he's bootstrapping, federal election law and trying to call this some type of serious felony fraud, which really is just a bookkeeping issue. And by the way, speaking of fraud, it's another example of a New York prosecution going after Trump where there's no victims.
There's no victim, no crime. They won't name the crime. And Phil Holloway is going to explain why that's significant. They have to name that crime. About
Non-disclosure agreements, they are standard. Wealthy people, prominent people use them all the time. Even Fani Willis here in the Fulton DA's office has non-disclosure agreements with people in her office, I'm told.
So they're trying to nail Trump for having an alleged non-disclosure agreement with Stormy Daniels. The jury is still out on if Trump ever signed it. She signed it. We don't know if he signed it and is being held by it. But she agreed to the hush-up money, which it's not hush up because they don't like using that word, Trump supporters, because hush up implies he did a crime, and people use hush things to cover up illegal things. Non-disclosure agreements, I've signed a non-disclosure agreement with every employer I've ever had. So if that's a crime, then guilty.
In Manhattan. And we were talking about this in the context of the Sixth Amendment and the right to be put on notice if you're the defendant of what you're accused of. And so what Alvin Bragg has done is he said he committed this misdemeanor, even though the statute of limitations ran, it's really a felony because he committed that misdemeanor with intent to commit another crime. And he literally says in the indictment, actually, committed another crime, and he doesn't specify what that other crime is. And he does that 36 times. For 36 felonies.
That's Phil Holloway with Ashley Merchant, who was the attorney against Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. And she is going to talk about how they will not say what the crime is, what Trump is guilty of. There's no victim. Remember, in the Judge Engeron trial, they were going, who did he bilk out of money if the banks are happy and every business person he's ever been in with, there's no crime?
Well, Phil, that actually sounds a lot like what we have going on here in Georgia, where we have these indictments for making false statements, but the prosecution is refusing to tell us what the false statements are. You know, it's like, oh, they violated an oath, but we're refusing to tell you what oath was violated. They made false statements, but we're refusing to say how they're false or any of that stuff. It's very similar to what's going on here in Georgia. But what I'll say is that the only way to challenge these is pretrial. And if a judge is not willing to do something pretrial, then we end up having to go in front of a jury. And I think that's what you're seeing in New York right now, you know, where Trump is having to go in front of a jury because the judge wouldn't get rid of these.
So they will not name the crime. So then if they say that he tried to cover up a crime, which is what triggers it to be elevated from misdemeanor, but they won't talk about, it implies that he's guilty of a crime they've never charged him with. But it's just like Fani Willis also couldn't name what lie he told or what misstatement he made.
We're in a blue state. That's all by design. Don't get it twisted, folks. They do this intentionally, just like they're bringing the one in Washington, just like Georgia. They pick these states on purpose.
The trial is the punishment, and they know they're not going for a fair trial. That's why, as Alina Habba said, they're targeting blue states only. This wouldn't hold in a normal state unless it was bury the needle blue, which they have to be able to rig a jury pool and get a higher number of them and even get the everyone from the district attorney down to the judge sympathetic to their ridiculous cartoonish charge to be laughed out of any real court.
But what's important with this notice, and, you know, and I'm getting caught up, so I'm not sure, you may have already talked about this, but notice, I mean, we need to know what to defend against, first of all. But second of all, it's important for double jeopardy. If you don't put what the person actually did in the indictment, and then a couple years down the road, someone else wants to go and re-indict a case or bring something up, how do you know if they were already on trial for it if you don't put enough information in the indictment?
I love these lawyers thinking that like the rule of law is still there, as if the Democrats care at all about double jeopardy. They're like, double jeopardy, double schmepperdy. That only applies to when a Democrat is under double jeopardy. A Republican, we'll give it a new name and it'll be fine.
Well, this is clearly an illegal, unconstitutional gag order here. We have gag orders to protect criminal defendants who are going through the process. It is a limited time, place, and manner restriction to protect criminal defendants and their constitutional rights. And for these Democrat prosecutors and these Democrat judges to put a gag order on a criminal defendant is truly un-American, is breathtaking.
And of course, the go-to on the Democrats is to try and shut Trump up with a gag order. So this is them playing small ball. It's not going to work. It's entirely backfiring on them. That's the good news is Trump's never done better. You saw him come out in the last video to the public in New York, and they're cheering him on. Little minority kids are going, "We love Trump." This is his campaign, guys. They didn't take him off the campaign trail. They put his campaign trail on steroids.
President Trump, if there's anyone on the planet who must have the constitutional right to speak out about the judge, the prosecutor, the staff, the witnesses, the bias, it has to be a criminal defendant going through a criminal process.
Especially one who's campaigning as president actively. He needs to be able to defend himself to the public and say what he wants to say. They can't have that. They know that they own the mainstream media and they have to control it through that media. That's why we here in alternate media are out getting you the real truth they won't tell you.
Yo, there we have it, guys. Coming from our friend Doug in Excel. I'll definitely be sure to leave that original video link down in the description box below for those you want to go over there and check that out. Also, you guys to go over there and show our friend Doug a bit of love. Oh my goodness, guys. The truth is coming out once again, guys. And I can't even say I'm surprised to see, you know, that this is another one of those political witch hunts, guys. In the charade case, Donald Trump is being tried for something there is no crime once again. We've seen that up, you know, in New York. Well, this is already in New York, right? Yeah, this is in New York too. We've seen it with Letitia James, that corrupt attorney general, in that civil fraud case with Judge Arthur Ingram. They brought up, you know, millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. They tried to get him for $500 million. And then, you know, appeals court said, hey, that's a little bit harsh. And they reduced it to, you know, $150 million. Now we're seeing the exact same thing happening, you know, a couple blocks away with that rogue district attorney, Alvin Bragg. and his, rogue judge Merchan. That Stormy Daniels case, guys, we all know that to be, another one of those instances where there is no victim in the case, but yet they want to put Donald Trump on trial, try him for these, charade cases, these trumped up charges, ironically, guys. Not to mention, the statute of limitations are, far gone on this case. Alvin Bragg is so corrupt, rogue, doesn't care about, statute of limitations, any of that. He's, raised the misdemeanor up to a felony. Going great lengths, tacking on felonies in order to get this case revived and back, with a heartbeat, guys. We're seeing that this is so blatant. I don't know how else we have to spell it out. For those on the left who are still, kind of on the fence about whether or not, this is political, what has to happen for you guys to realize this is all happening for a reason? This is all a big timing game. There's so many rogue justices we've seen, Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, Judge Arthur Ingram, Judge Merchan. We've seen Jack Smith, seen DA Fani Willis, guys. How many more folks have to come forth, come after Donald Trump, trying to persecute this man? He's trying to snatch his name off the ballot. I mean, all these cases done nothing but bring about so much support for Donald Trump. And if anyone is left on the left still in support of that guy, Joe Biden, I just want to say right now, guys, where have you been? What rock have you been living under? Or who is lying to you? Because they are doing a great job, because there is no way that you're still in support of this guy and you haven't seen the blatant witch hunt that has been coming after Donald Trump, the political persecution that we've been seeing live on TV. Like I said, this has been nothing but another big win for Donald Trump. This has gotten his, support levels to an all-time high. He's getting mass support from not only those on the right, but those on the left. Black and minority vote is at an all-time high. We're seeing, it's still climbing up because Donald Trump has not done yet. He's out here, he's testifying. He's, giving his statements out in front of those courtrooms. Every time they put him in a court and try to persecute him, he goes out in front and he speaks his truth. And that is exactly why we're seeing them try to gag him and silence a criminal defendant, which we know is a violation of the constitutional rights of Donald Trump. And that's why we need to get him in office later on this year, because, they're violating our constitutional rights. They're trying to, slam down on freedom of speech. They don't want us to be able to, practice or speak the way we would like to speak, guys. And we're telling the truth. Donald Trump is speaking nothing but the truth, and they're trying to slam him down, guys. Definitely hop in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this one. We're seeing Alvin Bragg, Judge Merchan's case, chalking up to being nothing more than another political witch hunt, guys. Persecution of Donald Trump, guys. Definitely hop in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Also, make sure you guys hit that share button and share this out to as many Facebook friends as possible, guys. Share the truth. Also, make sure you guys hit that like button. It doesn't cost a thing. Hit that like button for your boy, and also hit that subscribe button, guys. We're on the road to the truth. Hop aboard for the journey. I'll catch you guys on the next one.